This is model suspension order. It's as usual, the communication starts with the DFA, number of the communication, then Government of India, Bharat Sarkar, Ministry of Home Affairs, Grah Mantralaya. Just like memorandum. Then New Delhi dated the order. It may start with whereas. You have to follow the format because it is given in the disciplinary proceedings book. So there is no other go. You cannot use your own language. You have to write the same language. You have to follow the same language. Whereas a disciplinary proceeding against so-and-so of this office is contemplated. Full stop. Then within bracket, details of charges are being communicated separately. Charges may be there in the question. आपको यूपीएससी एग्जाम में चार्जेस का डिटेल भी उस क्वेश्चन में होगा, लेकिन लिखना ऐसा ही है. Details of charges are being communicated separately. Then paragraph 2 may, now therefore the undersigned is in exercise of powers conferred by sub-rule 1 of rule 10 of the Central Civil Services Classification Control and Appeal Rules 1965, hereby places the said Sri so-and-so under suspension with immediate, exactly the same language. You have to mug it up. No other language you can write. Then third para, again the same language. It is further ordered that during the period of this order, and that this order shall remain in force, the headquarters of Sri so-and-so should be New Delhi. Suppose it is given the headquarters of the official is Bombay, Mumbai, then you have to write here Mumbai. It is not that either New Delhi वही लिखना है, ऐसा नहीं. The question has to be referred. Should be New Delhi, and the said Sri so-and-so shall not leave the headquarters without obtaining the previous permission of the undersigned. Then thereafter signature. Then it is not addressed because order is not addressed, it is endorsed. Copy to Sri so-and-so, orders regarding subsistence allowance admissible to him during the period of suspension will issue separately. The same language you would write. Likewise, not on original. इसका मतलब ये है, what you are writing as reply to question on drafting a suspension order is the office copy. उसमें सब कुछ होगा, लेकिन जब ऐसा रियल लाइफ सिचुएशन में आप भेजेंगे, इतना तक फर्स्ट कॉपी में इतना तक होगा. The other things will not be there in the first. It will not appear in the first copy, not on original. Copy to Sri dash name and designation of the appointing authority. Suppose you are aware who is the appointing authority, you need not write. You can simply write name and designation of appointing authority. Then the circumstances in which the order of suspension was made as follows. That is, this is the reason for which this person is placed under suspension. इधर आना चाहिए, किस कारण से इसको सस्पेंशन में डाल दिया जाता है. The चौकीदार and the Mr. X was found absent from duty on this night of. That is, it will be there in the question without permission. Preliminary inquiries show that he is habitual in such misconduct. Thereafter, another signature. So this is how it should be. This I did not tell you. Without telling, I have given the homework. That is why I am telling you now. Okay. We were seeing, first we saw the procedures for purchase of goods. Later we saw how to engage consultancy services. So now outsourcing of services. हमारे पास various types of services are there in our office. उसमें कुछ सर्विस को एक्चुअली एम्प्लॉय को एंगेज करके उनसे काम कराने से बेटर है that particular job is given to outsource to some other office, some other organization, private bodies. They will come and do it and claim the money. A ministry or department may outsource certain non-consulting services in the interest of economy and efficiency, and it may prescribe detailed procedures for this purpose without contravening the following basic guidelines. What is given here is only basic guidelines. How to engage non-consulting services. Non-consulting services includes maintenance, hiring of vehicles, outsourcing of building facilities management, security, photocopier service, janitor, caretaker or doorkeeper, office errand services, drilling, aerial photography, satellite imagery, mapping, etc., etc. Identification of contractors. Departments should prepare a list of potential contractors on the basis of inquiries from other departments and organizations involved in similar activities, scrutiny of yellow pages and trade journals, website, etc. ऐसा ही काम करने वाला कोई और डिपार्टमेंट में कैसा होता है ये पता कर सकते हैं. येलो पेजेस करके ऑल एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स, ऑल सर्विस प्रोवाइडर्स का नेम एक बहुत बड़ा किताब होता है. दोस येलो पेजेस में कौन सा सर्विस कौन प्रोवाइड करता है ये डिटेल्स अवेलेबल है, उधर से निकाल सकते हैं. Identification of contractors. Departments should prepare a list of potential contractors. Department should prepare a tender inquiry containing inter alia the details of the work to be carried out by the contractor. कौन सा काम उनको आउटसोर्स करके देना चाहते हैं. The facilities and inputs which will be provided by the department. Yesterday I gave an example. Suppose you are engaging a travel agency for providing vehicles to the use of officers who are coming from residence to office first. Thereafter, they can use that vehicle for their official purpose. So, in that case, suppose you are engaging ABC company or travel agent for transport services. They will bring the vehicle. सुबह सुबह वो अपना शेड से लेकर इधर ऑफिस तक व्हीकल को लियाकर उधर छोड़ देगा. Or they will go to certain officers colony and bring the officers. Suppose in our case it happened. A CBI colony was in Vasant Vihar, and CBI office, our unit was near India Gate, Jam Nagar House Apartments. So vehicle सीधा CBI कॉलोनी में जाकर सब लोगों को ऑफिसर्स को पिकअप करके देन ऑफिस को लियाकर छोड़ेगा. अगर छोड़ने के बाद ड्राइवर किधर बैठेगा? That facility the office will give. Then what will happen to the vehicles? They can be parked in the parking lot provided by the department. So what are the inputs that can be given by the department? That we'll have to inform. The facilities and inputs which will be provided by the department. Number 3, eligibility criteria to be met by the contractor for taking up the required work services. Then number 4, the statutory and contractual obligations to be complied with by the contractor. Invitation of bids. For estimated value of work or service up to rupees 50 lakhs, the department should scrutinize the list and decide the eligible contractors and issue limited tender inquiry to them, calling for their offers by a specified date and time, etc., as per standard practice. The number of the contractors so identified for issuing limited tender inquiry should be more than 3. 50 lakh same value of work or service up to 50 लाख से कम काम के लिए सर्विस आपको चाहिए, तब लिमिटेड टेंडर इंक्वायरी का मेथड अडॉप्ट किया जाता है. सो यू हैव टू शॉर्टलिस्ट एंड हैव द नंबर of such service providers. Then you will send only to them this tender notice, call for their quotations, then you will decide. For estimated value of works or service above rupees 50 lakhs, departments should issue advertised tender inquiry. Suppose 50 लाख से ऊपर वाला काम है, outsourcing वाला काम, then you will adopt advertised tender inquiry. Outsourcing by choice, that is procurement of non-consulting services by nomination. That is, I gave you an example. No, I didn't give you. In our case, in CBI, we had the office near India Gate, and we selected for our outsourcing for travel purpose. हमारा ट्रांसपोर्ट रिक्वायरमेंट के लिए हम आउटसोर्स किए थे. We selected single agency. We did not call for tender. We could give a justification why we engaged that particular agency. Why not call for tenders? To our criteria, our reason, our justification was that agency is situated in Jamnagar House itself, India Gate ka bilkul bagal mein. And the first 11 kilometers or 12 kilometers, if we engage another agency, they will charge from their shed to our office or our quarters. वो 11-12 किलोमीटर उधर चलेगा गाड़ी, उसका पेमेंट हम करना पड़ेगा. So that is avoided because it is very much there in our campus. It is almost in our office. So that initial charge and final charge, that is रात को सब काम खत्म करने के बाद गाड़ी जिस जगह लास्ट जो ड्यूटी खत्म हुआ है उधर से उनका डिपो में जाने के लिए पैसा जितना भी किलोमीटर है उसका पैसा देना पड़ेगा. हियर वो मुसीबत नहीं है because it is very much in the office premises itself. Number 2, they are very much experienced in providing transport services to government offices. Number 3, the agency is run by a Sardarji who was ex-serviceman. So security concern, their credentials are very good for our purpose. So like that, and they had a good number of a fleet of good number of vehicles. तो ये सारा criteria है that we selected by choice, outsourcing by choice. In the case of an exceptional situation, your competent authority may outsource a job to a specifically chosen contractor in consultation with the financial advisor. In such cases, the detailed justification, the circumstances leading to the outsourcing by choice, and the special purpose it shall serve should be an integral part of the proposal. Okay. Now, you have seen all the methods for procurement of goods and service. वो एक दफा टेंडर फाइनलाइज हो गया. You have decided this is the successful bidder, or this is the contractor to whom you are going to entrust. You have followed all the required rules and you have decided to whom this contract should be given. Now the next stage is you award the contract to the contractor, successful bidder, and you return the bid security to the contractor and ask for performance security. Earlier, it used to be 5 to 10%, now it is 3%. Thereafter, you request the contractor to come and sign the document, contract document, within 21 days. अगर नहीं आता है उसको ब्लैक लिस्ट करना पड़ेगा. अगर आ जाता है, ये contract is signed. There will be one party is the government of India, the other party is the successful bidder. For the government of India, on behalf of the government of India, well, some officer of the Ministry of Commerce or any concerned ministry, he will sign. ABC bracket में joint secretary to the government of India or secretary to the government of India or additional special secretary to the government of India. He will put his signature. Even after the contract is signed by an authorized officer, it is not valid unless there is an inscription below his signature for and on behalf of the President of India. All contracts to which Government of India is a party should be in the name of the President of India. So that is the contract. And what are the other rules relating to contract? Government contracts shall be made by any subordinate authority. What is meant by subordinate authority? Any authority subordinate to the President of India. Government contracts shall be made by any subordinate authority only on authorization by the President in terms of Article 299(1) of the Constitution. All contracts will be executed in the name of the President. The authority signing the contract should sign for and on behalf of the President of India. In other words, the above phrase should invariably follow the designation of the authority who signs the contract. The power of various authorities entering into contract on behalf of government are laid down in rule number 21 of DFPR 1978. All government contracts should be in a standard form, which should be settled in consultation with the Ministry of Finance. Contract का एक set form होता है, that is a standard form. लेकिन आपका डिपार्टमेंट के लिए स्पेशल फॉर्म का रिक्वायरमेंट, certain additional classes may be required, 1 or 2 classes need not be there. So you want a new form. In that case, you have to take it up with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Law to settle such a form that is appropriate for your ministry. All government contracts should be in a standard form, which should be settled in consultation with the Ministry of Finance. In case of non-availability of standard form suitable to meet the requirement, a form should be drafted with the assistance of the Ministry of Law and Ministry of Finance. The terms of contract should be precise, definite, and without any ambiguities, because it may require interpretation. Because हम एक लीगल डॉक्यूमेंट साइन करते हैं, उसमें एम्बिग्यूटी नहीं होना चाहिए. लैंग्वेज शुड बी प्रिसाइज एंड क्लियर. A department may make purchases for value up to rupees 2,50,000 only by issuing purchase orders containing basic terms and conditions. Purchase order issue करने के समय you incorporate all the conditions which normally is found in the contract document. Because the purchase is only for 2,50,000. Then in that case, separate contract is not required. You can incorporate the conditions in the purchase order itself. In respect of works contract, work means काम. Works, plural में works means civil works, construction works. In respect of works contract or contracts for purchases valued between rupees 1 lakh to 10 lakhs, where tender documents include general conditions of contract, GCC, or special conditions of contract, SCC, and scope of work, the letter of acceptance will result in a binding contract. If you are giving an order, work order for construction purpose, usme the letter of acceptance, if all these conditions, general conditions of contract and special conditions of contract, all conditions are incorporated in that letter of acceptance, then there is no separate form required. For a separate contract need not be signed. In respect of contracts for works with the estimated value of 10 lakhs and above, a contract document should be executed. In such cases, proper contract has to be executed with all necessary clauses to make it a self-contained contract. If, however, these are preceded by invitation to tender, accompanied by general conditions of contract and special conditions of contract, with the full details of scope and specification, a simple one-page contract can be entered into attaching copies of GCC and SCC and details of scope and specifications, offer of tender and letter of acceptance. Tender form में, tender proceedings में सारा conditions उसमें लगा हुआ है. Once tender is offered, they will give an undertaking that they will be abiding by all these stipulations. In such cases, proper tender receive करके उसको procedures को follow करके finalize किया होता है, then in that all GCC and SCC accepted. In that case, one page contract will be sufficient. No work should be allowed to start without executing a contract. अगर टेंडर फाइनलाइज हो गया, what is it? Yes. अगर no work should be allowed, अगर टेंडर एग्जीक्यूट हो, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एग्जीक्यूट हो गया, then only the orders for supply of goods can be issued. Interesting work. Contract document should be executed within 21 days from the date of acceptance. वो टेंडर ओपनिंग फाइनलाइज कर दिया, then lowest bidder को टेंडर दिया गया, then from then onwards 21 days के अंदर वो that contractor should come forward and sign the contract document. Non-fulfillment of this condition 21 दिन के अंदर आकर साइन नहीं करता, then in that case would result in cancellation of the offer and forfeiture of earnest money deposit. With security forego करना पड़ेगा. Cost plus contract should be avoided as far as possible, whereas where it becomes unavoidable, full justification should be recorded before entering into contract. In case cost plus contract continues for a long period, it should be converted into a firm price contract. वो क्या cost plus contract क्या होता है, उसको ये क्यों हम लोग गवर्नमेंट साइड से why we should not prefer cost plus contract? A cost plus contract means where the price payable is determined on the basis of actual cost of production plus profit at a fixed rate or fixed percentage on the cost. Cost plus means there is at the time of quoting the rates in the tender, they will indicate this is the cost on which a profit of 10% may be given. So that is cost plus contract. But cost of production may vary. आज एक, कल एक. So in case of accepting such contract, then they may be time and again, they may be asking you to revise the rate because cost of production has increased. तो ऐसा है. So इसलिए उस चक्कर में नहीं पड़ना चाहिए. अगर इमरजेंसी पर ऐसा एक कॉस्ट प्लस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को एक्सेप्ट कर लिया and it is a long term contract that is exceeding 18 months, then in such cases you can do one thing, उसको कन्वर्ट करके कुछ दिनों बाद उसको मॉडिफाई करके फर्म प्राइस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं. Lump sum contract should not be entered into. Where it becomes unavoidable, full justification should be recorded. The relevant clauses in the contract should adequately safeguard the interests of the government. Price variation clause can be provided only in long-term contracts where delivery period extends beyond 18 months. An illustrative formula is provided in appendix to GFR. What is price variation clause? That is, now the contract has been finalized and the contract document, tender has been finalized and the contract signed. Lekin, in the tender, it was mentioned that in case there is increase in the cost of production, the rate now fixed in the contract, that should also be revised. Upward revision should be there to compensate extra expenditure on production. That is price variation clause. Normally, if it is a contract for a limited period, or that is within the financial year or within say 6-7 months, 8-9 months, ऐसा एक पीरियड के लिए कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता है, उसमें प्राइस फ्लक्चुएशन के लिए कुछ फायदा एक्सेप्ट नहीं करना चाहिए. Price variation clause should not be accepted in contracts for a short period. If the supply is expected to prolong for long term, that is maybe 18 months, then in that case you can accept that. Then also price variation, suppose cost escalation, cost of production escalates to 1.5% to 2%, then there is no question of claiming cost escalation. Cost variation का claim नहीं हो सकता है. If it is only a small variation, उतना profit तो उनके पास होता ही है. Price variation clause can be provided only in long-term contracts where delivery period extends beyond 18 months. An illustrative formula is given in the GFR. Price variation clause should specify cut-off dates for material and labor. Such a clause should provide for a ceiling on price variations, particularly where escalations are involved. तो कितना पीरियड को कितना परसेंटेज तक दे सकता है, कंसिडर कर सकता है. These should be indicated in the contract document. The clause should stipulate minimum percentage of variations also. Example, where the fluctuation is less than 2%, no price adjustment will be made in favor of the contractor. अगर cost of production 2% से कम है, and that is the increase in cost of production is only less than 2%, then in that case, there is no question of granting compensation for such escalation. No price variation will be admissible beyond the date of scheduled date of delivery. ऐसा होता है, suppose the contract says it is valid only up to March 2026. इसके बाद this contract is not valid. Suppose March 26 का बाद भी हम ऑर्डर देते रहते हैं, आप ऑर्डर लेते रहते हैं, सप्लाई करते रहते हैं, because it is beneficial to you, that is why you are doing that. In ऐसा case में, beyond the date of the validity of the contract, if some price variation is there, then in that case, this will not be applicable. No price variation. Payment of sales tax, customs duty, etc., should be specified in the contract. कौन पे करेगा sales tax वगैरह, and who will pay the customs duty, all these should be specified. The contract should contain clause on mode and terms of payment. कैसा है, advance payment मिलता है. Actually, you should not. Munna Kumar says, after accepting GEM contract for manpower vendor has asked for PF, ESI, etc. It's not mentioned in the bid document. It should not be given. It should not be given because manpower. हम एक चीज अच्छा क्वेश्चन है, हम अपना कार भी है और टैक्सी, आपके पास चॉइस है वेदर टू यूज. एक लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस आपको जाना है and you are not driving, because such a long distance you are not driving, you will engage a driver, or the alternatively you will engage a taxi from a travel agent. Which is better? You engage a travel agent's taxi. That is better because there is no risk. there is no risk. बीच में कुछ एक्सीडेंट हो गया, बीच में कुछ पंचर हो गया, any problem for that matter, just relax and enjoy the trip if you are engaging a taxi where there is no commitment at all, whereas your vehicle with a driver or you yourself drive, there is full risk. कुछ भी होता है, it is yours. So you are talking about outsourcing manpower. In that case, no such commitment. PF, ESI, वगैरह वगैरह, they may claim whatever they want, they may claim. It is not at all. It should never be accepted. That is the purpose for which outsourcing is done. Basic purpose. Salary देकर with all these benefits, we can engage regular employee. हम क्यों आउटसोर्सिंग करते हैं? Because we don't want any extra commitment. जो काम करते हैं उसको पैसे देंगे. That's all. So suppose it is not satisfactory, you cannot throw the employee. आपको एक एम्प्लॉय, गवर्नमेंट एम्प्लॉय को डिसमिस करना है, it's a Herculean task. CCA rule may look where it is very easy to dismiss anybody, take action against. It is not. आपको बता रहा हूं, tomorrow you are going to be a SO. आप without issuing a memo, if you can continue in office and retire safely, that is the blessing. किसी को डिसिप्लिनरी, किसी का खिलाफ डिसिप्लिनरी एक्शन नहीं लेते हुए आप अपना जिंदगी, सर्विस लाइफ कंप्लीट कर लें, दैट इज वेरी गुड. इट इज अ बून. कभी भी एक मेमो दे देंगे, वो 10-15 पेज का लिख के देगा, आपका बारे में भी लिखेगा, आपको पार्शियलिटी के बोलेगा, यस आप खुद लेट आए उसके बारे में जिक्र करे. सो मेनी थिंग्स ही विल राइट इन रिप्लाई, ऑल रीजनेबल एक्सप्लेनेशन अदरवाइज. तो इसलिए very peacefully, that is the protection we get in the government service में. रेगुलर एम्प्लॉई और ऐसा आउटसोर्सिंग, उसमें फर्क यही है, देयर इज नो अदर कमिटमेंट. दे में क्लेम पीएफ, ईएसआई वगैरह वगैरह क्लेम कर सकते हैं. नो, दे शुड क्लेम फ्रॉम देयर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, फ्रॉम देयर बॉस. Such employees, some agency is in recruiting and maintaining those people and sending personals to us. They should take care of them. ESI vagara, that subscription they have to pay, and that facility should be given to them. We are in no way responsible. You should never accept that. Payment of sales tax customer. The contract should contain clause on mode and terms of payment. Payment कैसा, advance payment देना है या periodically हर एक महीना देना है, या whatever mode, and mode कैसा है, transfer to their account or check issue करना है, all these things should be stipulated. Payment, mode of payment, that should be stipulated. Then issue of materials by the department should be avoided. कभी भी आप कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इश्यू करते हैं, एंटर करते हैं, तो हम इस मामला को हम वी विल टेक केयर. कुछ लोग ऐसा सोचते हैं. Especially I am telling you, I am not blaming anybody. I am telling you, अकाउंट्स सेक्शन में जो भी काम करते हैं, वो ऐसा ऐसा सोचते हैं that it is we should be very stringent. We should be very stringent. Generally, the belief is Madrasi log jo bhi hain, they are very stringent with government spending. आप फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग इंडिपेंडेंट इंडिया शुरू करने से उस डेट से अभी तक देखिए कितना फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर मद्रासी के टीटी कृष्णमाचारी, उससे पहले वो एक चेटियार था फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर, उसके बाद चिदम्बरम काफी दिन था. ऑफ कोर्स मिस्टर मनमोहन सिंह वाज देयर. दैट इज डिफरेंट. ऑलवेज they choose a person from the south to be the finance minister because बहुत ही कंजूसी करते हैं. सरकारी पैसा that सिक्स्थ पे कमीशन सिग्नेचर करने पर वो कलम तोड़ दिया था चिदम्बरम. तो ऐसा है. इश्यू ऑफ मेटीरियल इसलिए बोला था that whenever you are entering into contact, some people think that one portion of this material should be provided by the government so that उन लोग लूट रहे हैं. इसलिए हमको ये अगर सीमेंट कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में सीमेंट हम सप्लाई करते हैं, देन दैट गवर्नमेंट सीमेंट फैक्ट्री से हम सप्लाई करेंगे, वी विल सेल. ऑलवेज इट विल बी कम्बरसम बिकॉज द कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन यू हैव टू ऑलवेज चौकन्ने रहना है. वेदर कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन ऑफ सीमेंट somewhere it increases suddenly, then what will happen? So you will be unnecessarily committing. तो आप ऐसा कुछ चीज हम प्रोवाइड करेंगे ऐसा बोलना ठीक नहीं है. Issue of material by the department should be avoided as far as possible. Where it is agreed to, the schedule of quantities with the issue rates of such material should be mentioned in the contract. In case government property is issued for the use of contractor, provisions for recovery of higher charges should be included in the contract. Sometimes हम क्या करते हैं, ट्रक इश्यू करते हैं हमारे पास, स्पेशली डिफेंस में 1 टनर 2 टनर 3 टनर बोल के व्हीकल्स हैं उनके पास. नॉर्मली व्हेन देयर इज नो वॉर, these vehicles are least used. Transportation of personnel, transport of ration, transport of material required. उसके लिए इस्तेमाल करता है, अदरवाइज इट इज रेस्टिंग. सो डिफेंस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स देने के समय उन लोग व्हीकल हम प्रोवाइड करेंगे ऐसा करके कमिट करते हैं. Provision if in case government property is issued for the use of contractor, provisions for recovery of higher charges should be included in the contract. Provision for periodical physical verification should be mentioned along with the penal clause for failure. The supply contract may always that stipulated time में supply होना चाहिए. अगर नहीं होता है नहीं होता है, periodical checking will be there. That clause should be incorporated. Copies of all contracts for purchase of purchase of the value of 25 lakhs and above should be marked to accounts officer and audit officer. The terms of contract should not be materially varied once it is entered into without the consent of the parties. That is, there is no bossism. Government is entering into contract with a contractor, private contractor. That doesn't mean government is the master and the contractor is servant. ऐसा नहीं है. The same formula, that is master servant formula, is applied to government and government servants. ऐसा तो ऐसा माना जाता है. Rules are framed like that. But in the case of contract, equal footing है. Whether it is government or the contractor, they will be on equal footing because they are signing a legal document. Both will be parties to the contract. So इसलिए कोई भी मॉडिफाई करना है अपना इच्छा से नहीं कर सकता है. You have to give a notice, get their nod, and then you have to issue a modified contract. The terms of contract should not be materially varied once it is entered into without the consent of the parties. Any such change should be through an amendment to the contract, duly signed by all the parties concerned. Where there is a time frame and work schedule, there should be clear provision for cancellation of contract after due notice. अगर आप timely supply नहीं करते हैं, we will issue a notice. And another thing, these contractors are they have expertise, they have dealings with many departments, they will behave very nicely, befriend the officials concerned. I have seen contractors that is, they will befriend you, they will be very good in dealing with you. इतना अच्छा मीठा बोलेंगे. But always beware. Suppose you are in the purchase department, always beware. Suppose you are issuing a supply order. You ask them to supply by 30th of September. They request you orally. आप तो लिखित रूप से सप्लाई ऑर्डर दिया है, 30th से पहले सप्लाई करें. इन लोग 28th को आकर आपसे निवेदन करते हैं, ऐसा स्थिति है, कुछ ड्राइवर्स बीमार पड़ गए, नहीं आ रहे, ये कुछ कहानी बताकर, इसलिए कृपया इतना इंसिस्ट मत कीजिए. वी विल डू इट विद इन 5 days. 5 तारीख तक, अक्टूबर 5th से पहले हम सब ये सप्लाई कर देते हैं. नेवर oblige. इतना बोलिए, you ask in writing, we will consider and then permit you. ऐसा है. नो भाईचारा कुछ क्या बोलते हैं, दैट इज कॉमरेडरी, वो फ्रेंडशिप वगैरह नहीं चलेगा. इट्स अ लीगल मामला है. तो इसलिए टुमारो he may breach the contract, and once you accept, tomorrow there is a case, they will cite this as an example. ऐसा लेट सप्लाई होता ही है सर. we have the tacit support of the department. वो उन लोग इतना स्ट्रिक्ट नहीं होते हैं. पता नहीं इस पर्टिकुलर मामले में इतना स्ट्रिक्ट क्यों बनते हैं. ऐसा करके दे विल आर्ग्यू. सो यू शुड नेवर बी पर्सनल. वो आपका वीकनेस भी, दे विल सैटिस्फाई योर वीकनेस. सपोज सम पीपल थोड़ा सा पीने में शौकीन है, सम पीपल प्ले कार्ड्स. These people, ऐसे ही फ्रेंडशिप में इसको फंसाकर, and they will extend certain facilities to you unknowingly after office hours, and you will be in difficulty. Any such change should be through amendment. Where there is a time frame, the work schedule, there should be clear provision for cancellation of contract. वो contract में ही लगाना चाहिए. In case the time limit is not followed, then the contract will be cancelled. ऐसा clause होना चाहिए. Warranty clause should be included in the contracts for perishable goods. अगर perishable goods का contract है, then there should be a clause, warranty clause. All contracts for supply of goods should reserve the right of the government to reject goods which do not conform to specifications. जो भी स्पेसिफिकेशन टेंडर में एक्सेप्ट किया है, ऐसा स्पेसिफिकेशन में थोड़ा सा भी फर्क हो, then we will reject the material, we will reject the supply. ऐसा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में क्लॉज होना चाहिए. We don't normally थोड़ा सा इधर उधर का फर्क एक्सेप्ट कर लेते हैं, but major changes we should not. And when it goes to court or arbitration, then ठीक clause, at least लिखित रूप से ठीक clauses होना चाहिए. Management of contracts. Implementation of the contract should be strictly monitored and notices issued promptly whenever a breach of provision occur. इसलिए तो बोलता हूँ, whenever you are in the purchase department, when a contractor commits some mistake, breach of contract, You don't hesitate to issue a letter. उसको एक मेमो देने में you should not hesitate. Yeah, we gave a supply order asking you to supply before this date. You did not follow this. So ऐसा करेंगे तो next time you are now warned, and if you do this, repeat this again, your contract may be cancelled. ऐसा करके मेमो देने पर या लेटर देने पर you should not hesitate. Proper procedure for safe custody and maintenance of bank guarantees and other instruments should be laid down. Suppose your their bank guarantee performance परफॉर्मेंस सिक्योरिटी के लिए उन लोगों को कुछ 3% का बैंक ड्राफ्ट दिए होंगे या बैंक गारंटी दिए होंगे. So that all these things should be watched carefully. Periodically, you have to check and whether it is going to expire. The period of validity is going to expire. In that case, you should address those people to extend that. वो सब मेंटेनेंस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में ये सब आता है. Wherever disputes arise during the implementation of the contract, legal advice should be sought before initiating action to refer the dispute to conciliation as provided in the contract, or to file a suit where the contract does not include an arbitration clause. File to arbitration clause must be there in the contract. That what is arbitration clause? Suppose there is a dispute on any particular item of contract, any particular clause of the contract, कोई difference of opinion है, तो contention है, then how it should be resolved? That is arbitration clause. Whether 3 officers this side, 3 representatives from the company, they should sit and sort it out. That is one thing. Or there is an official arbitrator who will decide this. That is another thing. Next, which court, which jurisdiction of which court, that should be indicated. That in case of dispute, this will be the jurisdiction of this court, and we will be free to. The government reserves the right to go to that court. Aisa. So yes, clauses must be there. Then contract sign हो गया. अभी contract sign होने के बाद क्या है? Supply. Contract sign हो गया तो thereafter actual supply शुरू होता है. That comes under inventory management. What is inventory management? Maintenance of stock taking, ये सब inventory management है. How it is done? एक contract sign करने के बाद the authority or the department, whoever is concerned, whoever is keeping that contract, that officer or authority will provide a copy of the contract to the stores department. There should be a stores officer, and that officer should get a copy of the contract. So once he gets a copy, hereafter he will be responsible. So suppose it is for purchase of material. Purchase of material के लिए contract sign हो गया. Then the copy of the contract is marked to the stores officer. He is also called inventory officer. उसके पास एक कॉपी आ जाएगा. आने के बाद the purchase department will issue purchase order, supply order to the contractor. Copy will come to the stores officer. So purchase order जाने के बाद contractor will bring the items ordered in the supply order. Contractor लेकर कहाँ आएगा? The stores department में लेकर आएगा. आने के बाद क्या करना है? That should be that the contractor will download and hand over the items, supply the items to the stores officer. And what is the duty of the stores officer? पहले तो नजर से, by look, I say by his eyes, visual, visually he will verify. Suppose item बहुत बड़ा बड़ा cylinders, ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर्स, अगर 100 ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर्स आया है, उसको ऐसे देखने से 100 है, he may by vision. Number 2, he may not be able to count exactly, so he will count. Count means खुद तोड़ जाएगा. Even IPS officers have counted papers, I have seen. तो ऐसा इतना नहीं करना है. You have to leave it to your staff. They will count 100 cylinders है, आया कि नहीं, आ गया. Then आने से whether it is received in perfect condition, there will be some technical expert of the department. उनको बुलाकर इंस्पेक्ट कराना है. So सब कुछ कराने. Suppose some items to be weighed. So weigh करना है. So visually and counting and weighing, ऐसा कोई भी verification required है, that verification has to be done either directly by the stores department or by the technical expert to be brought by the stores department, and through them it has to be, correctness has to be verified. Verify करने के बाद you have to, the stores officer has to acknowledge सप्लाई, वो सप्लाई करने के समय सप्लाई वाउचर लेकर आया होगा, देन उसमें आइटम्स, इतना आइटम रिसीव किया है अगेंस्ट द सप्लाई ऑर्डर, ऐसा करके एक सर्टिफिकेट दे देगा. दैट इज द एक्नॉलेजमेंट. ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ दैट एक्नॉलेजमेंट द कॉन्ट्रैक्टर विल मेक ए क्लेम. व्हेन द क्लेम, वो बिल बनाएगा, वो बिल बनाने के समय दिस एक्नॉलेजमेंट हैज टू बी अटैच्ड. Then this person, a stores officer, he will have to take these items into account. वो कैसा है? Then he will keep one copy of that supply, this voucher which he has given acknowledgement. Then he will enter all these items. कितना item आया है उसको कौन सा पेज में, उसका stock register है, that is also called inventory register. वो stock register में enter करेगा. Enter करने के बाद next duty is he has to keep all these things in the stacks. That is, कहीं कहाँ रखना है उधर he will arrange, उधर रख देगा. So now he will make entry in the stock register. Now what will happen? The accounts department, the claim by the contractor will go to the accounts department. They will send the bill to the stores department. तो वो आके पीछे दैट वो बिल का पीछे he will give a certificate. Yes, these materials have been received and entered in stock register in page number such and such as item number such and such, page number such and such करके received in good condition. These items were received in good condition and entered in stock register, item number, page number, ये लिख के साइन करेगा. Thereafter the bill will be honored, payment will be made. This is payment side. Item आया, उसका सर्टिफिकेट उधर अकाउंट्स डिपार्टमेंट को दे दिया, पेमेंट होते रहेगा, दैट इज डिफरेंट. नाउ आइटम आने के बाद इसको कैसा करना है? सम आइटम्स हैव टू बी स्टोर्ड वेरी केयरफुली. फ्यूमिगेशन वगैरह करना है, वो मॉइस्चर नहीं होना चाहिए. सम आइटम्स शुड बी केप्ट इन एयर कंडीशन रूम एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट. So that sort of securely the store has to be maintained. ठीक है. Now what he will do with that item? So some department will send an indent, हमें इतना सिलेंडर भेज दिया जाए. तो requisition in the proper form will come from one section A. So when it is received, the stores officer will issue against that indent उसको सप्लाई करेंगे, इश्यू करेंगे। देन इश्यू करने के बाद उनसे जैसे ये एक्नॉलेजमेंट दिए थे कॉन्ट्रैक्टर को, इसी तरह ही विल टेक एक्नॉलेजमेंट फ्रॉम द पर्सन हु इज रिसीविंग द सप्लाई। देन उसका इंडेंट ये फाइल कर देगा, सामान उनको इश्यू कर देगा, स्टॉक रजिस्टर में माइनस कर देगा। ये दिस विल बी एनी गिवन टाइम दैट इंस्पेक्शन आने से देन आइटम शुड बी करेक्टली फाउंड। इश्यू करने के बाद सपोज 50 सिलेंडर का रिक्वेस्ट है, रिक्वेशन 50 सिलेंडर का है, लेकिन स्टॉक में ओनली 40 सिलेंडर्स आर देयर, then it can be supplied, short supply. Against the indent of 50 cylinders, only 40 have been issued. ऐसा करके सर्टिफाई करके एक्नॉलेजमेंट लेना है। जैसे आप एक डॉक्टर का प्रिस्क्रिप्शन लेकर केमिस्ट दुकान में जाने से वो बोलता है ये मेडिसिन नहीं है, क्रोसिन नहीं है, पैरासिटामॉल है। आप अगर चाहते हैं तो वो मेडिसिन इज द सेम, इफ यू वांट यू कैन टेक सब्स्टिट्यूट, ऐसा बोलते हैं ना। इसी तरह सपोज इंडियन सिलेंडर के जगह एचपी सिलेंडर है, सब्स्टिट्यूट गैस ही तो है। सो सच सब्स्टिट्यूट इफ इट इज ओनली डिफरेंट item is available, he can supply. If the person who is bringing the indent, he is willing to take alternative for that, then that item will be supplied and such an entry will be made. Suppose ऐसा करते करते स्टॉक रजिस्टर प्रॉम्प्टली मेंटेन होना चाहिए ना। आजकल कंप्यूटर द्वारा स्टॉक एक इश्यू का एंट्री करेंगे, इमीडिएटली स्टॉक को भी वो दैट इट विल बी ऑटोमेटिकली डिटेक्टेड फ्रॉम द स्टॉक एंड आज का दिन में कितना बैलेंस है वो भी दिखाई देगा। ओके, देन रिसीट इश्यू, देन वेरिफिकेशन एनी टाइम the competent authority may hold inspection. उधर आके इंस्पेक्ट करने के समय द स्टोर्स ऑफिसर का प्रेजेंस का बिना इंस्पेक्शन नहीं होना चाहिए। ओनली इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ, सपोज इंस्पेक्शन के लिए टीम आया एंड दिस पर्सन इज नॉट अवेलेबल, वन डे कैजुअल लीव में है, दे शुड नॉट इंस्पेक्ट, दे शुड नॉट कम एंड टच बिकॉज ऑल वैल्यूएबल्स। तो इसलिए इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ द स्टोर्स इन चार्ज देन द इंस्पेक्शन शुड बी देयर। तो पक्का होना चाहिए, दैट इज आइटम एंड स्टॉक रजिस्टर में जितना बैलेंस दिखाई देता है दैट नंबर मस्ट बी अवेलेबल। सम आइटम्स आर देयर, some asset items are there, fixtures, furnitures, vehicles and वगैरह। तो those items अगर उसको वेरीफाई करना है तो इट वोंट बी अवेलेबल इन द स्टोर्स। वो कहाँ फिक्स किया हुआ है, वो मशीनरी के बारे में, मशीन इज फिक्स्ड समवेयर, वो इश्यू नहीं होता है, दैट विल बी शोन एज इन दी स्टॉक रजिस्टर। सो उधर वेरीफाई करना है तो इट इज उधर लगा हुआ है, गाड़ी इधर खड़ा है, तो ऐसा those places you have to go and inspect those places. Suppose it is a library, it is a library, so there the librarian is the stores officer there. तो किताब आने से सीधा स्टोर में आकर उधर नहीं जाएगा, सीधा लाइब्रेरी में जाएगा, लाइब्रेरियन विल रिसीव। सो लाइब्रेरी का किताब इतना वॉल्यूम होने से once in a year, इससे ज्यादा up to 50,000 वॉल्यूम्स once in 3 years, एंड ये ऐसा 3 years में या बुक्स का चेक करने के समय 1000 वॉल्यूम्स में 5 वॉल्यूम्स कम पढ़ने से दैट इज रीजनेबल लॉस, ऐसा एक स्टिपुलेशन है। लेकिन ऐसा 5 वॉल्यूम्स में एक कॉस्टली वॉल्यूम है 1000 रुपीज एंड अबव, तो ऐसा करने से इंक्वायरी जारी होगा। देन Suppose there is a mischief, ऐसा लगता है the loss is due to mischief, only 5 volumes missing, but some mischief is doubted, then full inspection. ऐसा the procedures are there for verification. Suppose stock issue करते करते there should be some buffer stock. That is, buffer stock means emergency के लिए, that is 100 piece will be sufficient. Normally हमारा requirement के लिए 100 piece at any given time, that is sufficient. लेकिन 105 or 110 should be there. That is buffer stock. क्योंकि इमरजेंसी में एक भी नहीं है, ऐसा स्थिति आना नहीं चाहिए. So some buffer stock should be there. How much? That should be how much? That departmental instruction. And suppose stock issue करते हैं, वो one particular item has not been issued for 1 full year. एक साल में एक बार भी उसका रिक्वेशन नहीं आया है. इसका मतलब क्या है? That is occupying space. स्टोर में हमारा पास स्टोर का वैल्यू है, स्पेस का वैल्यू है, तो उस स्टोर स्पेस को ऑक्युपाई करके बैठता है. So if a space is occupied by one item which has not been requisitioned for the whole year, 1 full year, then it is expenditure. Because बिना मतलब का एक स्पेस को ऑक्युपाई करके बैठा है and it has not been sought for, कोई पूछने वाला नहीं है. That means it has to be declared as surplus item. अगर really surplus है और unquestioned, that is unrequestioned, ऐसा कुछ आइटम है 1 साल से ऊपर, वो भी surplus है. Surplus items have to be verified and it has to be disposed of. Surplus items as well as condemned items, they have to be disposed. Disposal ka the various methods. So the value of the items have to be calculated, then they have to be disposed in various methods. Tender method होता है, auction होता है, वो कुछ नहीं बनता है. टेंडर में कोई पूछने वाला नहीं. No tender is forthcoming. Then auction, nobody is taking in auction. Then उसके बाद रद्दी में भी नहीं, खरीदने वाला नहीं है. Then by destruction, destruction में कई मामला है. कुछ चीज ऐसा है जलाने से it will pollute, endangering the lives. भोपाल गैस जैसा. So कुछ आइटम्स जलाने से पॉइजनस गैस होता है. कुछ आइटम्स ऐसा होता है मेडिसिन होता है, मिसयूज करेंगे मेडिसिन को. सपोज यू आर सेंडिंग दीज मेडिसिन फॉर डिस्ट्रक्शन, टाइम बॉर्ड मेडिसिन, तो कुछ लोग ऐसे अनस्क्रूपलस एलिमेंट्स, दे विल सेल दोस मेडिसिन. देन कुछ और चीज है इलेक्ट्रॉनिक आइटम्स, दैट एनवायरनमेंट मिनिस्ट्री हैज इश्यूड इंस्ट्रक्शंस. या ऐसे चीजों को डिस्ट्रॉय करना कैसा है, मेथड ऑफ डिस्ट्रक्शन. And some other items security related, maybe currency notes. अगर फटाफटा करेंसी नोट है, इसको जला दो, जलाना है, लेकिन अंडर प्रॉपर सुपरविजन, बिकॉज सिक्योरिटी प्रेस का मशीनरी वगैरह है, इन नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स है. करेंसी नोट्स अगर आप ठीक से जलाए नहीं है अंडर प्रॉपर सुपरविजन, वो नोट सारा कॉपी करके काउंटरफीट नोट बन जाएगा. सो इसके लिए कैसा डिस्ट्रॉय करना है, उसका concerned instruction, maybe MHA का instruction. So all these things have to be followed while destroying. So inventory management में ये सारा कुछ आता है. Detailed instructions are in chapter 7. While receiving goods and material from a private supplier, the officer in charge of stores should receive them after referring to their relevant contract terms and following the procedure prescribed therein for receiving the material. हमारा वो स्टोर्स ऑफिसर को एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कॉपी मिलता है, उसमें मटेरियल कैसा सप्लाई होगा, कितना क्वांटिटी में होना, क्या स्पेसिफिकेशन में होना चाहिए, ये सारा कुछ होगा. देन वेरिफिकेशन शुड बी अकॉर्डिंगली. all material shall be verified, मतलब counted, measured or weighed and subject to visual inspection at the time of receipt to ensure correctness of quantities, quality and specifications, and that there is no damage or deficiency. Technical inspection, where required, should be carried out at this stage by technical inspector or agency approved for the purpose. An appropriate receipt in terms of relevant contract provisions may also be given to the supplier on receiving the material. Contractor supply करता है, receive करने वाला उसको एक acknowledgement देगा, वही. Details of the material so received should thereafter be entered in the appropriate stock register, preferably in IT-based system. The officer in charge of stores should certify that he has actually received the material and recorded it in the appropriate stock registers. Intending officers are expected to project required goods and materials from internal divisions in the indent in the form prescribed for this purpose. While receiving supply against the intent, the intending officer shall verify. Intending officer means जो requisition देता है, हमें store से ये material चाहिए. Those officers, they will, while receiving, they will also examine, count, measure, weigh the material as the case may be to ensure correctness of the quantities, qualities, specifications, and that there is no damage or deficiency. An appropriate receipt shall also be given to this effect by the intending officer to the division sending the material. Suppose I am going with a requisition to the stores officer and give it to him. He will supply the material. ये ले लो भाई. Then it is my duty. Be satisfied before leaving the counter बोलते हैं ना. इसी तरह I have to count or verify the material whether there is any damage. Afterwards, if you bring, the stores officer will refuse. तो डैमेज उस समय नहीं था और कहीं तोड़ के लेकर आया अभी. So we have to. Then after verification, if you are accepting the material, then you have to give an acknowledgement. In the case of issue of material from stock for department use, manufacture, sale, etc., the officer in charge of the store shall issue indented items only against an appropriate indent in the prescribed form by the intending officer. कोई भी मटेरियल मांगता है, उनसे एक रिक्वेशन लेकर, प्रॉपर फॉर्म में रिक्वेशन लेकर वो ये सप्लाई करेगा. Material shall be issued only on obtaining written online acknowledgement from the intending officer or his authorized representative. जो भी इंडेंट लेकर आता है, उनसे एक acknowledgement लेकर ही मटेरियल इश्यू होगा. In case of materials issued to a contractor, the cost of which is recoverable from the contractor, all relevant particulars, including the recovery rates and the total value chargeable to the contractor, should be got acknowledged from the contractor, duly signed and dated. Suppose some materials are supplied by the department to the contractor, as I said, कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में सीमेंट हम सप्लाई करते हैं, ऐसा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता है. सो इन दैट केस कितना बैग सीमेंट सप्लाई किया हुआ है एंड व्हाट इज द रेट एज पर द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट डॉक्यूमेंट. तो ये किस लिए है? बिकॉज द कॉन्ट्रैक्टर ऑन कंप्लीशन ऑफ बेसमेंट, कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ बेसमेंट, उस समय एक क्लेम भेजेगा, उस क्लेम इन टर्म्स ऑफ मनी. तो उसमें सीमेंट का कॉस्ट एट द अग्री रेट उसको माइनस करके फिर पेमेंट करेंगे उसके लिए. In case of material, if the officer in charge of the stores is unable to comply with the intent in full, he should make the supply to the extent available and make suitable entry in the to the effect in the intent or copy of the intent. वो अगर some item is required, requisition for the quantity requisitioned is 20 items, लेकिन हमारा पास 15 only. The stores officer has only 15 numbers. He will have to make an entry. Only 15 supplied against the intent of 20. He should make the supply to that extent available and make suitable entry to that effect in the intent or copy of the intent. In case alternative material are available, suppose some Dalmia cement is required, but we have got only some other cement. So that is issued alternative thing, then that has to be mentioned accordingly. The officer in charge of stores, that is goods and materials, especially valuable combustible articles, shall take appropriate steps for their safe storage in required temperature, dust free environment, etc. कैसा करना है, कैसा safe custody में कैसा maintain करना है, that is the lookout of the stores officer. Lists and accounts. The officer in charge of stores shall maintain item-wise lists and accounts and maintain accurate returns in respect of goods and materials in his charge, making it possible at any point of time to check the actual balances with the book balance. The form of stock accounts mentioned above shall be determined with reference to the nature of goods and materials, the frequency of transactions, and the special requirements and of concerned departments. कैसा material कैसा ये store करना है, and how to maintain stock register. Separate accounts shall be kept for fixed assets such as plant, machinery, equipment, fixtures, furniture, etc. in form GFR 22. GFR form हर एक चीज के लिए separate form दिया हुआ है, that you have to remember. Fixed asset के लिए GFR 22, consumable GFR 23, library books GFR 18, assets of historical or artistic value GFR 24. These forms can be supplemented with additional details by ministries departments. अपना requirement के मुताबिक इसमें additional columns can be added. Hiring out of fixed assets. When a fixed asset is hired to local bodies, contractors, or others, proper record should be kept of the assets, and the hire and other charges as determined under rules prescribed by the competent authority should be recovered regularly. Suppose we are giving some 3-tonner vehicle for their use, what is the rate to be recovered? That is according to the rule. Calculation of the charges to be recovered from the local bodies, contractors, and others as above should be based on the historical cost. Physical verification of fixed assets. The inventory for fixed assets shall ordinarily be maintained in site, at site. जिस जगह पर ये फिक्स्ड एसेट उधर होता है, उस जगह ये इसका अकाउंट्स में सेपरेटली मेंटेन होता है. Fixed assets should be verified at least once in a year, and the outcome of the verification recorded in the corresponding register. Discrepancies, if any, shall be promptly investigated and brought to account. कई important चीज missing होता है, then that has to be found out and that should be recorded. A physical verification of all the consumable cooked goods and material should be undertaken at least once in a year and discrepancies, if any, should be recorded in the stock register for appropriate action. Procedure for verification. Verification shall always be made in the presence of the officer responsible for the custody of the inventory being verified. Stores officer का सामने ही stores verify करना चाहिए. A certificate of verification along with the findings shall be recorded in the stock register. तो कभी कभी शॉर्टेज होता है, उसको रिकॉर्ड करना है, and the shortage is a very valuable shortage. तो investigation होगा. Discrepancies including shortages, damages, and unserviceable goods, if any, identified during verification, shall immediately be brought to the notice of the competent authority for taking appropriate action in accordance with provisions in the Rule 3338. अगर shortage है तो डैमेज है वगैरह है, वो दैट शुड बी इंस्पेक्शन रिपोर्ट, उसमें उसको हायर ऑफिसर का नोटिस पर लिया जाएगा and further action will be taken by the competent authority. Buffer stock. Depending on the frequency of requirement and the quantity thereof, as well as pattern of supply of consumable material, optimum buffer stock should be determined by the competent authority. Mostly consumable article को ये buffer stock का जरूरत पड़ता है, because एकदम बिल्कुल नहीं है ऐसा नहीं बोल सकता है, स्टोर में कुछ ना कुछ तो होना चाहिए. That is buffer stock. Note, as the inventory carrying cost is an expenditure. Inventory carrying cost का मतलब आप you are maintaining stock which is not requested by anybody. Then in that case, that also is a form of expenditure. So that also results in costs. So as the inventory carrying cost is an expenditure that does not add value to the material being stocked. A material lying in stock for over a year shall generally be considered surplus unless adequate reasons to treat it otherwise exist. उसको तो एक साल तक कोई पूछने वाला नहीं है, then it should be declared as surplus. अगर नहीं है, we are not willing to declare this as surplus for some reason, then you have to give the reason. The item so declared surplus may be dealt as per the procedure laid down under Rule 217. वो थोड़ी देर बाद देखेंगे. Rule 215. Physical verification of library books. Complete physical verification of books should be done every year in case of the libraries having not more than 20,000 volumes. अगर एक लाइब्रेरी में 20,000 वॉल्यूम से ज्यादा किताब नहीं है, then once in a year verification होना चाहिए. For libraries having more than 20,000 volumes and up to 50,000 volumes, such verification should be done at least once in 3 years. 20,000 से 50,000 तक किताब जिस लाइब्रेरी में होता है उसका इंस्पेक्शन 3 साल में एक बार होता है. Sample physical verification at intervals of not more than 3 years should be done in case of libraries having more than 50,000 volumes. 50,000 से ज्यादा किताब है, उस लाइब्रेरी को टेस्ट ऑडिट जैसा सैंपल वेरिफिकेशन होता है. In case such sample verification reveals unusual or unreasonable shortages, complete verification shall be done. अगर कुछ गलती महसूस होता है, then complete verification will be done. Loss of 5 volumes per 1,000 volumes of books issued consulted in a year may be taken as reasonable, provided such losses are not attributable to dishonesty or negligence. एक किताब 1,000 volumes of books are borrowed, deposited, handled, etc. etc. ऐसा 1,000 volumes handle करने वाले समय में 5 volumes are missing. Then in that it is considered as reasonable. लेकिन उसमें कुछ डाउट है, दैट इज एंट्री ऐसा लिया वापस दिया ऐसा करके, ये दैट इज इट इज ओनली नेम सेक, द लाइब्रेरियन इज मैनिपुलेटिंग that in such suspicion, suspicion कहीं भी होता है, then in that case investigation. However, loss of book of a value exceeding 1000, वो 5 वॉल्यूम मिस होने से रीजनेबल ऐसा बोला गया है ना, बट one of the volumes costing 1000 rupees. So in such cases, it should be verified. Rare books, irrespective of value, shall invariably be investigated and appropriate action taken. 216, transfer of charges, goods, material. What is that? Stores officer का transfer हो जाता है. So he has to prepare whatever stock he has. That is, make a list. Stock register में तो handing over, taking over, entry तो होगा ही. In addition, complete physical verification करके list duplicate में बनाकर the outgoing officer will sign and the incoming officer will sign, and that copy one each person, outgoing and the incoming officers, they will keep one copy. In case of transfer of officer in charge of goods, material, etc., the transferred officer shall see that the goods or material are made over correctly to the successor. A statement giving all relevant details of goods, material, etc. in question shall be prepared and signed with the date by the relieving officer and the relieved officer. Each of these officers will retain a copy of the signed statement. Now, disposal of goods. An item may be declared surplus or obsolete or unserviceable if the same is of no use to the ministry or department. जिस मिनिस्ट्री में ये स्टोर होता है, उस स्टोर में ऐसा आइटम पड़ा रहता है that may be lying unused for 12 months. One. Number two, it is obsolete. That is, उसका यूज नहीं है, इसका यूज नहीं है, it is useless, it has become useless, obsolete or unserviceable. तो ऐसा रिपेयर पड़ा है, उसको सर्विस करके इस्तेमाल नहीं कर सकता है. तो ऐसा केस में the reason for declaring the item surplus or obsolete or unserviceable should be recorded by the authority competent to purchase the item. जिसको purchasing power है, that authority will certify why we are declaring this as surplus, unserviceable का रूप में या surplus का रूप में, और that unservice obsolete का रूप में. कैसा, क्यों ऐसा डिक्लेयर करते हैं, रीजन रिकॉर्ड करना पड़ेगा. The competent authority may at his discretion constitute a committee at appropriate level to declare items as surplus or obsolete or एक कमिटी बना दिया जाएगा. That committee will decide this is absolute, surplus or unserviceable, ऐसा करके. Then the book value, guiding price and reserve price which will be required while disposing of the surplus goods should also be worked out. In case where it is not possible to work out the book value, the original purchase price of the goods in question may be utilized. A report of stores for disposal shall be prepared in Form GFR 10. What is book value? Cost of the cost of the item minus depreciation, that is book value. Then guide price, that is present market value. Then reserve price, that is minimum acceptable price. That is more than 10% more than the guide price. So this has to be worked out before taking up for disposal. Dispose करने के लिए कई तरीका बताया गया है. So before that, what is the value? Sometimes it cannot be disposed of in many manner, or it is not traceable. Write off करना पड़ता है. So you should know the value to write it off. In case an item becomes unserviceable due to negligence, fraud, or mischief on the part of the government servant, responsibility for the same should be fixed. अगर कोई किसी का negligence द्वारा ये loss हो गया है, then responsibility should be got fixed. Sale of hazardous waste, scrap batteries, electronic waste. इसको क्या procedure है? Scrap lots comprising of hazardous waste, batteries, etc. shall be sold, keeping in view the extant guidelines of Ministry of Environment and Forest. Prospective bidders of such lots of hazardous waste, scrap batteries, e-waste should be in possession of registration valid on the date of e-auction and on the date of delivery as recycle pre-processor agency. ऐसा hazardous लोग को ये ऑक्शन में लेने वालों को लाइसेंस होना चाहिए, because they should be authorized to handle such items. हजार्डस लोग आइटम को ऑक्शन में लेकर वो कहीं और स्क्रैप में बेच देगा. ऐसा मास ऑक्शन में ह्यूज क्वांटिटी को ऑक्शन में लेने वाला अपना थोड़ी इस्तेमाल करता है. ही विल सेल इट टू फर्दर. ऐसा लेने वाला बहुत है तो उसको कहीं जला देंगे. इट विल रिजल्ट इन पॉइजनस गैस, पोल्यूटिंग. वो इसलिए एनवायरमेंट मिनिस्ट्री से ये लाइसेंस होने वाला को ये देना चाहिए. मोड्स ऑफ डिस्पोजल, surplus or obsolete or unserviceable goods of assessed residual value above rupees 4 lakh should be disposed of by obtaining bids, tender, advertised tender agents, tender method में dispose करना चाहिए, or by public auction if it is 4 lakh and above. For surplus or obsolete or unserviceable goods with residual value less than 4 lakhs, the mode of disposal will be determined by competent authority, keeping in view the necessity to avoid accumulation of such goods and consequential blockage of space and also deterioration in value of goods. कभी ऐसा पड़ा रहने से उसका वैल्यू नीचे होते जाता है. डिस्पोज करना, टाइमली डिस्पोज करना चाहिए. तो इन आवर ITBF ऑफिस लद्दाख, one 3-tonner vehicle was condemned but not disposed of because हमारा पास CPWD ऑफिस नहीं था उधर लद्दाख में. CPWD ऑफिस was not there. Only we had to request the PWD office to take action to auction. तो इसलिए ऐसा केस में तो मोड ऑफ क्यों ये इसको जल्दी क्यों करना है रीजनेबल टाइम में? बिकॉज ये एक पूरा व्हीकल कंडम होकर फुल व्हीकल वाज स्टैंडिंग देयर. कुछ दिनों बाद उसमें टायर्स मिसिंग हो गया. सिक्योरिटी डिपार्टमेंट है, टायर्स मिसिंग हो गया. कुछ दिनों बाद उसका स्टीयरिंग गुम हो गया. कुछ दिनों बाद और कुछ ऐसा ये इट इज पैथेटिक कंडीशन में हो गया. तो देन वी हैड टू हरी रिक्वेस्टिंग फॉर इमीडिएट डिस्पोजल. PWD ऑफिस में जाकर पर्सनल लाइसेंस करके देन वी गॉट इट. अदरवाइज द वैल्यू विल नेचुरली गो डाउन. इसलिए टाइमली डिस्पोजल बहुत ही जरूरी है. डिपार्टमेंट शुड प्रिपेयर ए लिस्ट ऑफ सच गुड्स. Certain surplus or obsolete or unserviceable goods such as expired medicines, food grain, ammunition, etc., which are hazardous or unfit for human consumption. ऐसा ग्राइन है भोपाल में जब हुआ था मनमोहन सिंह का पीरियड में, तो that becomes unusable, एडिबल नहीं होता है. तो उसको डिस्पोज करना एसेंशियली कितना जल्दी हो सकता है उतना जल्दी डिस्पोज करना एसेंशियल है. should be disposed of or destroyed immediately by adopting suitable mode so as to avoid any health hazard and environmental pollution and also the possibility of misuse of such goods. Surplus or obsolete or unserviceable goods, equipment or documents which involve security concerns Example, currency, negotiable instruments, receipt books, stamps, security press, etc. should be disposed of, destroyed in an appropriate manner to ensure compliance with rules relating to official secrets as well as financial procedure. दोनों ही देखना है. फाइनेंशियल जीएफआर में जितना भी बोला है वो भी देखना है, ऑफिशियल सिक्योरिटी रिलेटेड इंस्ट्रक्शन को भी फॉलो करना है. डिस्पोजल थ्रू एडवर्टाइज टेंडर, इसको इसमें एक एक चीज बोलने की जरूरत नहीं, बिकॉज एडवर्टाइज्ड टेंडर इंक्वायरी का क्या क्या करना पड़ता था कि टेंडर इश्यू नोटिस इश्यू करें विथ ऑल डिटेल्स, रिसीव करें टेंडर, ओपन इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ टेंडरर्स and then finalize the tender in their presence and so on. All these should be there. Then the bidding document should also indicate the location and present condition of the goods to be sold so that the bidders can inspect the goods before bidding. अगर आप ऑक्शन करना चाहते हैं या बिड करना चाहते हैं, उन आपको ये चीज जिसको आप डिस्पोज करना चाहते हैं उसको दोबारा टेंडर ओपनिंग का समय भी दिखाना चाहिए. बिकॉज टेंडर डॉक्यूमेंट में क्या होता है, एज इज वेयर इज बेसिस ऐसा लिखा होता है. एज इज वेयर इज बेसिस, इसका मतलब जिस कंडीशन में है, हम तो ये नहीं बोल सकता है जिस दिन हम टेंडर नोटिस इश्यू करते हैं उस दिन चारों व्हील पक्का था, स्टेयरिंग पक्का था, लेकिन जब एक्चुअल ऑक्शन और टेंडर ओपनिंग होता है उस समय 3 व्हील का टायर मिसिंग है, एक स्टेयरिंग मिसिंग है. इसलिए आपको उस दिन फिर एक बार उसको दिखाना है. ऑल द टेंडर्स शुड बी टेकन टू द प्लेस वेयर द आइटम्स आर कीप्ड. तो उधर जाकर उनको फिर एक बार दिखाना है. एस वेयर इज बेसिस बोल के आप टेंडर नोटिस में दे दिया. सो दीज पीपल वेर रिक्वायर्ड टू गो एंड इंस्पेक्ट देमसेल्व्स. खुद आकर देखने के बाद इन लोग टेंडर कोट किए हैं, लेकिन इधर आके अभी देखते हैं उसमें व्हील्स कमी है, कुछ कमी है, कुछ कमी है. तो इसलिए फिर एक बार उनको मौका देना चाहिए. ओके, वी विल सी इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास. गुड नाइट.